Since the mid-2000s, Ainsley Earhardt has risen through the Fox News ranks, but rubbing shoulders with the president is a far cry from her humble South Carolina upbringing. These days, she not only reports the news, sometimes she makes it. Before becoming one of America's most famous conservative TV news hosts, Ainsley Earhardt dreamed of making it big in Hollywood. Speaking to Charleston.com, she said, "Growing up, I used to watch all these movies and award shows that took place in New York and LA, or were aired from either city, and I was drawn to the glamour. At an early age, I wanted to be famous, which is why I initially thought of taking up acting."
I was very involved in theater growing up, so it's nice now to perform on a national stage in front of everyone.
When she hit her early 20s, however, Earhardt's parents convinced her she wasn't cut out for Hollywood. She does have one movie credit, though. She played herself in the 2020 TV movie Christmas in the Rockies, the first movie produced by Fox Nation. And she's also seen herself on the big screen, just perhaps not quite as she intended. In 2019, she was played by Alice Eve in Bombshell, the Oscar-nominated dramatization of the Roger Ailes scandal.
Ready? I have to wear pants tomorrow.
Not without authorization from the second floor, you don't.
After high school, Earhardt studied biology at Florida State University with the intention of becoming an orthodontist. Then she heard Lisa Gibbons talk about studying journalism at the University of South Carolina, transferred, and the rest is conservative news history. In an article on the school's official website, Rick Peterson, one of her former broadcast journalism professors, spoke about Earhardt, saying, "From the very beginning, she had such a passion for the business and a strong work ethic. The first news director who visited the class and saw Ainsley's work offered her a job before the semester ended. She was a remarkable student. She had the talent, and she was willing to work really hard to succeed." Earhardt's first on-air reporting job was on her hometown network, WLTX's 11 p.m. show. After just 2 years of covering everything from politics to pet tigers, she was promoted to morning news anchor alongside radio DJ Curtis Wilson. But she wasn't thrilled about the change. Speaking to Columbia Metropolitan, Earhardt admitted, "I was a hard news person. I wanted to cover the accidents and the political stories. I didn't think I was funny and didn't want to cover the fluffy pieces. I was a blonde woman and wanted to be taken seriously." But the WLTX News 19 morning show soon became the second most viewed in the area, and in an interview with Elle, Wilson had nothing but kind things to say, sharing, "How can you not like Ainsley? People might try to single her out because she works for Fox News, but no one who actually knew her then says anything negative." During a 2-year stint at Texas's Ken's TV, Earhardt caught the eye of Fox News head Roger Ailes, and in 2007, he offered her a job. In the beginning, she was very much a go-getting frontline reporter, covering everything from Pope Francis's New York visit to the Deepwater Horizon oil spill during her years on the ground. And through it all, Ailes continued to champion her career, lifting her to new heights in 2016 by choosing her to replace Elizabeth Hasselbeck as co-host of Fox's flagship show, Fox and Friends. At the time, she released an official statement reading, "I am thrilled to join Steve Doocy and Brian Kilmeade on the curvy couch to deliver Americans their morning news." And judging by the ratings, Earhardt has been a hit with audiences. Speaking to the Associated Press in 2018, she explained, "There is a need to represent Middle America, and I think we do that. With that comes the support of the president." It certainly didn't hurt that Donald Trump was such a fan that he chose Earhardt to conduct the first joint interview with him and wife Melania as president and first lady, and daughter Ivanka soon followed suit. Trump even helped promote Earhardt's memoir on X, even if he did misspell her name, tweeting, "Ainsley Earhardt, a truly great person, just wrote a wonderful book, The Light Within Me, which is doing really well. Bring it to #1. And Earhardt has Trump's back in return. While discussing a disparaging New York Times piece about his financial fails on Fox and Friends, Earhardt countered with,
"If anything, you read this and you're like, wow, it's pretty impressive, all the things that he's done in his life. It's beyond what most of us could ever achieve."
Technically speaking, she wasn't wrong. In 2018, Earhardt went viral for all the wrong reasons when referring to World War II.
You know, we defeated communist Japan.
Yep, communism and Japan and so many other things as well.
And that wasn't the only time she made news for failing to get her facts straight. A few years later, in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic, Earhardt completely contradicted the Center for Disease Control and Prevention's official guidelines.
It's actually the safest time to fly.
And in 2021, she was ridiculed for her lack of knowledge about 2 of the world's biggest religions after the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree was set on fire. Earhardt lamented, "It's a tree that unites us, that brings us together. It is about the Christmas spirit. It is about the holiday season. It is about Jesus. It is about Hanukkah."
A Christmas tree represents a lot of things, but one thing it definitely does not represent is Hanukkah. I mean, if it did, that tree would have had to burn for 8 days.
But Earhardt seemed undeterred. In a 2020 interview with Evie, she gave a verbal shrug, saying, "I'm not always perfect. I'm far from perfect. I make mistakes, but when I do, I'm quick to say I'm sorry. I want to be that kind of person." Considering the influence he had on her career, it's probably no surprise that Earhardt felt the need to publicly defend Ailes when he found himself at the center of a sexual harassment lawsuit filed by former anchor Gretchen Carlson in 2016. Carlson's suit and the ensuing investigation uncovered at least 20 other women alleging sexual assault by Ailes. In July of that year, he was forced to resign from Fox News. Still, Earhardt insisted to People magazine, "I want the public to know that this is a man with a really good heart. In my experience, he has had my best interest in mind, and he has my family's best interest in mind. He's just a legend, and I don't want his reputation smeared because he's worked really hard to just give all of us such a great life. He really cares about other people." Despite continued accusations that Ailes fostered a deeply misogynistic workplace, Earhardt was effusive about Ailes upon his death a year later at the age of 77, saying, "Many people out there would say that he saved this country by starting the Fox News channel." Nowadays, Ainsley Earhardt might be better known for sitting behind a news desk or on a sofa discussing events from her highly conservative perspective, but she does get to leave the Fox studio from time to time. In fact, she's often flown to Buckingham Palace to report on various royal family events, including Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's wedding, the Platinum Jubilee celebration, and the death of Queen Elizabeth II. And going back to her reporting roots, Earhardt relishes the opportunity she gets to spread her wings, telling South, "Some days you'll have your show, and then you'll have a couple interviews after, or you have to jump on a plane to go to Washington to interview the president, or you have to fly to do Super Bowl coverage in Miami. You always have to have your bags packed and be ready to say, 'Yes, I'll go.'" Earhardt showed she's a woman of many talents in 2016 when she published a children's picture book that raced to the top of the New York Times bestseller list, "Take Heart, My Child, A Mother's Dream." Proving that it wasn't a fluke, she followed it up with 2017's Through Your Eyes, My Child's Gift to Me, and 2022's I'm So Glad You Were Born, celebrating who you are.
When I was growing up, my mother on our birthdays would say, "I'm so glad you were born," and that was her message to us.
As a devout Christian, each of her books is filled with faith-affirming themes. In an interview with the Christian Broadcasting Network, Earhardt reflected on her purpose, saying, "I really feel like God chose me for this position because he wanted me to be bold and wanted me to share the gospel, and Fox allows that. And now with these children's books, sharing the message to children, to the next generation, which is so important, is just such an honor." Earhardt continued to write about what her faith means to her in her 2018 memoir, The Light Within Me, telling Publishers Weekly, "When I realize I've come through so much, good and bad, because of my relationship with Christ, I can't hide that light within me. I want to be honest about my faith, but not preachy for my viewers and my readers." In 2005, Earhardt married her college sweetheart, medical entrepreneur Kevin McKinney, but the couple divorced in 2009 amid rumors of infidelity. Then, in 2012, Earhardt married William Proctor, a financier and former Clemson University quarterback. After a tragic miscarriage, Earhardt and Proctor had a daughter, Hayden, in the summer of 2015, and the new addition made her Fox & Friends debut just a few months later. Speaking to Yahoo Life, Earhardt admitted that motherhood can be tough, saying, "You have those long days where your child won't go to sleep and you're exhausted, and you're trying your hardest not to lose your cool, but those days are still worth it. I would much rather have those days than not have days at all."
She must be bionic. Apparently, she does not need sleep.
Unfortunately, 7 years after marrying Proctor, Earhardt was headed back to divorce court. Although the New York Post initially reported that Proctor's cheating caused the split, Proctor denied it, saying, "I am disappointed that this private matter has become public. I remain focused on and committed to being the best dad and maintaining a friendship with my wife even though she has decided to move on. I am devastated about this situation and did not envision this for the future of our family." Tongue started wagging in 2020 when Earhardt began broadcasting from the basement studio at Sean Hannity's Long Island home during the pandemic lockdown. And the rumor mill really got going when they attended the wedding of colleagues Pete Hegseth and Jennifer Roche together, arriving by helicopter. Not the most discreet mode of transportation, to say the least. When asked whether they were dating, Hannity refused to comment, and Earhardt flat out denied the whole thing in a statement, reading, "Right now, I am focused on raising my daughter. As anyone at Fox News will tell you, Sean is a wonderful person, and whomever he chooses to date will be extremely fortunate." Over the past 4 years, the couple have constantly been seen together, and in 2024, when Hannity relocated to Florida from New York, the Daily Mail quoted an inside source who spilled the tea, saying, "Those two have always been in it for the long haul since they fell in love. Only now, the haul will be a bit longer."